Greetings, my friends. Failure is one of the greatest teachers in life. If you look at the most successful people in history, you will find one common thread. They failed before they succeeded. Thomas Edison, the man who invented the light bulb, failed thousands of times before he found the right way. But he never saw it as failure. He saw it as learning. So, when you fail, ask yourself, what is this failure trying to teach me? If you can answer that, you are already growing beyond your fear. The battle against the fear of failure is fought in the mind. If you see failure as final, you will always fear it. But if you see it as a step towards success, you will embrace it. Your thoughts shape your actions. If you tell yourself, I cannot afford to fail, you will be too afraid to try. But if you say, failure is a step toward my next level, you will move forward with boldness. Remember, a renewed mind is a fearless mind. Fear thrives in inaction. The more you hesitate, the stronger your fear becomes. But when you take action, you weaken fear's grip on your life. How do you take action? Start small. Face your fears little by little. If you are afraid of speaking, practice with one person before speaking to a crowd. If you fear failure in business, start with small calculated risks. Every time you act, you tell fear, you have no power over me. Many people admire the success of others, but forget the struggles they endure. Let me tell you something, there is no success without failure. Look at history, every great leader, entrepreneur, and inventor failed at some point, but their secret was simple. They refused to quit. The next time you face failure, don't ask, why me? Instead, ask, what's next? Keep going. Your success is hidden behind your persistence. Fear loses its power when you have a strong sense of purpose. When you know why you are here and what you are meant to do, failure becomes a mere obstacle, not a roadblock. Your perspective is everything. Instead of seeing failure as a rejection, see it as redirection. Instead of seeing it as an end, see it as a beginning. Failure is often misunderstood. Many people see it as a dead end, a sign that they are incapable, unworthy, or simply not good enough. However, failure is not the end, it is a lesson. It is a classroom where life teaches us what works and what does not. Every time we fail, we receive valuable insight that can help us move forward in a better and wiser way. The problem is not failure itself, but how we perceive it. When we shift our perspective and start seeing failure as a teacher, we open ourselves up to growth, improvement, and eventual success. Throughout history, some of the greatest minds and most successful individuals have experienced repeated failure before achieving greatness. Consider Thomas Edison, who attempted to invent the light bulb but failed over 1,000 times before finally succeeding. When asked about his failures, he famously responded, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. This mindset is what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck in fear. Edison understood that every failed attempt brought him one step closer to the right solution. He didn't see failure as a stop sign, but rather as a stepping stone. Another powerful example is Colonel Harlan Sanders, the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. Sanders faced numerous rejections before finally convincing a restaurant to use his fried chicken recipe. He was turned down over 1,000 times, yet he refused to see rejection as failure. Instead, he saw it as an opportunity to refine his approach. Today, KFC is one of the largest fast food chains in the world, but it only exists because Sanders did not allow failure to define him. His story teaches us that failure is only permanent if we give up. The educational value of failure is often overlooked. In school, we are taught that mistakes are bad, that failing a test is something to be ashamed of. But in reality, mistakes are necessary for learning. Imagine a child learning to walk. When they take their first step and fall, do we call that failure? No, we call it progress. We celebrate it because we know that every fall is helping them develop the strength and balance needed to walk properly. This is how life works. Each failure is an essential part of our learning process. Without mistakes, there can be no mastery. One of the biggest reasons people fear failure is because they associate it with personal worth. They believe that failing at something means they themselves are failures. This is a dangerous and limiting belief. Failing at a task does not mean you are incapable or unworthy. It simply means you are in the process of learning and improving. The greatest athletes, musicians, scientists, and leaders have all failed at some point, but they refused to let failure define them. Instead, they embraced it, learned from it, and used it to grow stronger. Failure also reveals our weaknesses, which is a good thing. Many people want success but are not prepared for it. Failure exposes the areas where we need to improve, helping us develop the skills, discipline, and resilience required to handle greater challenges. Imagine someone who wants to become a world-class speaker but stumbles during their first speech. That moment of failure highlights the need for practice, preparation, and confidence building. If they learn from the experience, they will become a much stronger speaker in the future. But if they allow failure to discourage them, they will never reach their potential. The difference between those who succeed and those who do not is how they respond to failure. Those who see failure as a lesson, take responsibility, analyze what went wrong, and make adjustments. They do not dwell on their mistakes. They use them as stepping stones to greater achievements. On the other hand, those who see failure as the end often give up too soon, never realizing how close they were to success. Another important aspect of failure is resilience. The ability to keep going despite setbacks is a crucial factor in achieving greatness. Many people give up after their first failure, not realizing that success often comes after multiple attempts. The world rewards those who persist. Every great breakthrough in science, technology, and business was made possible by people who refused to quit despite failure. It is also important to understand that failure is not unique to any one person. Everyone experiences it at some point in life. The most successful people in the world have all faced rejection, defeat, and disappointment. What makes them different is their response. They do not allow failure to destroy their confidence or discourage them from trying again. Instead, they use failure as fuel to push harder, learn more, and become better. If we truly want to overcome the fear of failure, we must embrace it as a necessary part of growth. We must see it as a temporary event, not a permanent condition. Failure does not mean we are incapable. It means we are learning. The greatest leaders in history have all faced moments of defeat, but they refused to let those moments define their future. Instead, they took the lessons from their failures and used them to build a stronger foundation for success. Rather than fearing failure, we should welcome it as a teacher. Every failure carries a lesson, and those who are willing to learn from it will always rise higher. The key is not to avoid failure, but to extract wisdom from it. The more we learn, the more we grow, and the closer we get to achieving our dreams. Failure is not the end, it is simply a lesson on the road to success. Fear is one of the most powerful forces that can hold a person back from achieving their full potential. It paralyzes, making people hesitant to take action, to step into their destiny, or to pursue their dreams. Fear of failure is especially dangerous because it creates a mental prison where people would rather do nothing than risk failing. It convinces them that mistakes are disastrous, that rejection is unbearable, and that success is only for the fearless. But the truth is, everyone feels fear. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is how they respond to that fear. Fear operates in the mind, shaping thoughts that create hesitation, doubt, and insecurity. It makes people second-guess themselves, constantly worrying about what might go wrong. The mind begins to magnify small challenges, turning them into mountains that seem impossible to climb. This mental paralysis is what keeps many people from even attempting to pursue their goals. They think, what if I fail? What if people laugh at me? What if I lose everything? These questions create a cycle of doubt that prevents action. Fear thrives in inaction. The longer a person hesitates, the stronger fear's grip becomes. Fear is not real in the sense that it has actual power over a person. It is only a perception, a mental barrier created by uncertainty. Fear exists in the imagination, projecting negative outcomes that have not yet happened. It tricks the mind into believing that the worst will come true, even though there is no evidence to support it. This is why so many people never even begin. They allow fear to control them before they even try. But the only true way to overcome fear is through faith. Faith is the force that mobilizes a person into action. Faith is the complete belief in something that has not yet been seen. It is the conviction that success is possible even when failure seems likely. While fear looks at obstacles and magnifies them, faith looks at opportunities and embraces them. Faith does not ignore challenges, but it sees them as temporary rather than permanent. When a person operates in faith, they move forward despite uncertainty, trusting that their efforts will lead to growth, wisdom, and eventually success. One of the most powerful aspects of faith is that it shifts focus. When a person is dominated by fear, they focus on everything that could go wrong. They worry about what people will say, how they will be judged, and how much they could lose. But when a person walks in faith, they focus on the possibilities ahead. They see potential instead of problems. They recognize that even if they fail, they will learn something valuable that will help them in the future. This mindset shift is what allows people to take bold steps in life. Faith also fuels courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite fear. Every great leader, inventor, or entrepreneur who achieved success did so not because they never felt fear, but because they chose faith over fear. They understood that fear was simply a signal that they were stepping into new territory, but they refused to let it stop them. Instead, they moved forward, trusting that they would learn and grow along the way. Consider the story of people who start businesses or step into leadership roles. Many of them are afraid at the beginning. They worry about financial loss, criticism, or whether they have what it takes to succeed. But those who push forward do so because they have faith. They believe in their vision. They trust in their ability to adapt and improve. They understand that failure may happen, but they also know that failure is not the end. This faith gives them the strength to take risks, make decisions, and embrace opportunities. Fear is also fueled by past experiences. Many people hesitate to take action because they have failed before, and they do not want to experience that pain again. They allow past failures to define their future decisions, but faith reminds us that every day is a new opportunity. Just because something did not work before does not mean it will never work. People who operate in faith use past failures as lessons rather than as reasons to stop trying. Another key to overcoming fear is recognizing that it often comes from external influences. Many people fear failure not because they personally doubt themselves, but because they worry about the opinions of others. They fear judgment, rejection, or embarrassment. But faith teaches that other people's opinions do not define success. What matters is personal growth, persistence, and the willingness to learn. Those who succeed are the ones who stop seeking approval from others and instead focus on fulfilling their purpose. Faith also brings resilience. When a person is driven by faith, they do not give up easily. They understand that setbacks are a normal part of the journey. They remain steadfast, knowing that every challenge they face is shaping them into a stronger, wiser individual. Fear makes people quit at the first sign of difficulty, but faith gives them the endurance to keep going. Fear paralyzes because it creates an illusion of failure before it even happens. It makes people believe they are incapable, that they will be ridiculed, or that they will never recover from mistakes. But faith mobilizes it, pushes people to take action, to keep trying, and to believe in their potential. The choice is simple. Allow fear to keep you stuck, or let faith move you forward. Those who choose faith will always find a way to succeed. The greatest battles in life are not fought in physical arenas, but within the human mind. The mind is the battlefield where success or failure is determined long before any action is taken. Every decision, every hesitation, every moment of doubt, and every breakthrough originates from the thoughts that dominate a person's mind. The fear of failure is not an external force, it is an internal struggle. If a person can master their thoughts, they can master their destiny. But if they allow fear, negativity, and doubt to control their mind, they will remain stuck, never realizing their full potential. The mind is a powerful tool. It can either be an engine for success or a prison of limitation. What a person believes about themselves shapes their actions and determines their future. If someone believes they are capable, they will take action, even in the face of uncertainty. But if they believe they are destined to fail, they will never even attempt to try. This is why many people never pursue their dreams, not because they lack ability, but because their mind has convinced them that failure is inevitable. The real challenge is not external obstacles, but internal limitations. One of the biggest lies fear tells a person is that failure is a reflection of their worth. When someone experiences a setback, their mind begins to play tricks on them, whispering thoughts like, "You are not good enough," "You will never succeed," or "You should just quit." These thoughts are not facts. They are fears masquerading as truth. If a person does not recognize this deception, they will begin to believe these lies. And once fear takes control of the mind, it dictates every action. But the truth is, failure is not a reflection of a person's worth. It is simply a step in the learning process. The only difference between those who succeed and those who fail permanently is how they think about failure. Thoughts have the power to either build or destroy. If a person constantly fills their mind with doubt, fear, and negativity, those thoughts will shape their reality. Negative thoughts create hesitation. Hesitation leads to inaction, and inaction results in missed opportunities. But if a person trains their mind to focus on possibilities, learning, and growth, they will develop resilience and courage. They will see failure as temporary rather than permanent. They will push forward when others quit. The quality of one's thoughts determines the quality of one's life. The mind is also where the battle between past experiences and future possibilities takes place. Many people are trapped in fear because of past failures. They allow one mistake, one rejection, or one bad experience to define their future. Instead of moving forward, they replay past failures over and over again in their minds, allowing them to dictate their next move. But the past does not have the power to determine the future unless a person allows it to. Successful people are those who acknowledge their past mistakes but refuse to be controlled by them. They learn, they adapt, and they keep going. One of the most powerful tools for winning the battle in the mind is self-awareness. Many people do not even realize how negative their thoughts have become. They have allowed fear and doubt to control their minds for so long that it has become normal. But true transformation begins with awareness. A person must learn to observe their thoughts and recognize when fear is trying to take over. They must challenge negative thoughts and replace them with truth. Instead of thinking, "I will fail," they must remind themselves, "I am learning." Instead of saying, "I am not good enough," they must affirm, "I am capable and improving every day." This shift in mindset is the foundation of overcoming the fear of failure. Another key to winning the battle of the mind is surrounding oneself with the right influences. The people and information a person exposes themselves to play a significant role in shaping their thoughts. If someone is constantly surrounded by negativity, criticism, and discouragement, their mind will absorb those influences and operate in fear. But if they are surrounded by encouragement, wisdom, and inspiration, their thoughts will be strengthened and their confidence will grow. The mind is like soil. It produces whatever is planted in it. If seeds of doubt are planted, fear will grow. But if seeds of faith, knowledge, and perseverance are planted, success will follow. Fear is defeated when a person takes control of their thoughts. The mind must be trained to focus on solutions instead of problems, possibilities instead of limitations, and lessons instead of failures. This requires discipline, but it is the key to unlocking one's full potential. No one is born with a fearless mind. It is something that is developed through intentional effort. Every great leader, entrepreneur, and visionary has had to fight this battle. They have had moments of doubt, fear, and hesitation, but they refuse to let those thoughts control them. Instead, they trained their minds to see beyond fear, to embrace challenges, and to push forward regardless of uncertainty. The difference between someone who achieves success and someone who remains stuck is not luck or talent, it is mindset. A person with a strong mind will find a way to succeed even in difficult circumstances. They will take risks, learn from mistakes, and persist when others quit. But a person controlled by fear will always find excuses, avoid challenges, and settle for less than they are capable of achieving. The battle is won or lost in the mind long before it is ever fought in reality. To truly overcome the fear of failure, a person must commit to mastering their thoughts. They must become intentional about what they allow into their minds and challenge every negative belief that tries to take root. They must replace fear with faith, doubt with determination, and hesitation with action. The mind is the battlefield, but victory belongs to those who take control of their thoughts and refuse to let fear win. One of the biggest misconceptions about success is that it happens without failure. Many people believe that successful individuals never fail, that they have some special ability to avoid mistakes and setbacks. However, this is far from the truth. Every great achievement is built on a foundation of failures, lessons, and adjustments. The difference between those who succeed and those who do not is not the absence of failure, but the ability to embrace it as part of the process. When people begin to understand that failure is necessary for growth, they stop fearing it and start using it as a tool for success. Failure is often seen as an ending, but in reality, it is just a moment in the journey. It is not a reflection of personal worth or ability. It is simply a sign that something needs to be adjusted or improved. Many people take failure personally, believing that if they fail at something, it means they are not good enough. But failure does not mean a person is incapable. It means they are learning. A student who fails a test does not stop being intelligent. They simply need to study more effectively. An entrepreneur whose first business does not succeed is not destined to fail forever. They just need to refine their approach. The key to overcoming the fear of failure is to see it as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. Some of the most successful people in history have faced repeated failures before reaching their goals. Walt Disney was once fired from a job because his employer believed he lacked imagination. Oprah Winfrey was told she was not fit for television. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. These individuals did not allow failure to define them. Instead, they used it to push forward, to refine their skills, and to develop resilience. If they had given up after their failures, the world would never have known their greatness. The lesson is clear. Failure is not a sign to quit. It is a sign to grow. Failure is also a great teacher. There are lessons in failure that cannot be learned through success. When things go wrong, they reveal weaknesses that need to be strengthened, strategies that need to be changed, and habits that need to be developed. A person who embraces failure as a learning opportunity gains wisdom that others do not. They become more strategic, more resilient, and more adaptable. Every mistake carries a lesson, but only those who are willing to reflect on their failures can gain the insight needed to improve. One of the reasons people fear failure is because of the stigma attached to it. Society often celebrates success while hiding the failures that preceded it. When people see others achieving great things, they assume it happened easily. They do not see the years of struggle, rejection, and mistakes that came before. This creates a false expectation that success should come quickly and without difficulty. But in reality, the road to success is filled with failures. Those who accept this reality do not become discouraged when they encounter obstacles. Instead, they recognize that every setback is part of the process. Embracing failure also builds resilience. Resilience is the ability to keep going despite difficulties. Those who avoid failure never develop resilience because they never face real challenges. But those who experience failure and continue moving forward develop an inner strength that allows them to overcome any obstacle. Resilient people do not see failure as defeat. They see it as an opportunity to try again with more wisdom and experience. Every great leader, athlete, and entrepreneur has faced moments of discouragement, but their resilience is what allowed them to rise again. Another important aspect of embracing failure is removing the fear of judgment. Many people do not pursue their goals because they are afraid of what others will think if they fail. They worry about embarrassment, criticism, or rejection. But those who achieve great things understand that other people's opinions do not determine success. The fear of judgment holds many people back, keeping them trapped in a cycle of hesitation and regret. But when a person stops worrying about what others think, they become free to take risks, make mistakes, and grow. The only true failure is never trying at all. Failure is also necessary for innovation. Many of the greatest inventions and breakthroughs in history came as a result of repeated failures. Thomas Edison, when asked about his many unsuccessful attempts at inventing the light bulb, famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His persistence is what led to one of the most important inventions of all time. If he had given up after a few failures, the world might have never benefited from his discovery. Innovation requires experimentation, and experimentation includes failure. Those who embrace failure as part of the creative process are the ones who bring new ideas and solutions into the world. The key to embracing failure is shifting perspective. Instead of seeing failure as something to avoid, people must start seeing it as a natural part of progress. Every failure provides information that helps refine and improve future efforts. The more a person fails, the more they learn. The more they learn, the closer they get to success. This is why some of the most successful individuals are also the ones who have failed the most. They understand that failure is not an obstacle, it is a teacher. A person who learns to embrace failure gains a unique advantage in life. They are not easily discouraged. They are willing to take risks, and they continue growing even in the face of setbacks. They understand that success is not about never failing, but about always rising after failure. Those who allow failure to stop them will never reach their full potential, but those who use failure as fuel will achieve greatness. The only real failure is giving up, but as long as a person keeps going, they are still on the path to success. One of the greatest reasons people never achieve their goals is that they wait for perfect conditions before taking action. They believe they need to have all the answers, all the resources, and absolute certainty before making a move. But success does not work that way. Those who wait for the perfect moment never move at all. The truth is, there will always be uncertainty. There will always be unanswered questions. There will always be risks. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is the ability to take action despite uncertainty. Fear of the unknown is one of the biggest obstacles to progress. People hesitate because they do not know how things will turn out. They wonder, what if I fail? What if things don't go as planned? What if I'm not ready? These questions create a mental barrier that stops people from even beginning. But the reality is that no one ever has complete certainty. Even the most successful individuals started with uncertainty. They did not have all the answers when they began. They figured things out along the way. The key is to start moving, even when the path is unclear. When a person takes action, they gain clarity. Many people assume that clarity comes before action, but in reality, clarity comes through action. The more a person moves forward, the more they learn about what works and what does not. The first step may not be perfect, but it is necessary. A person who refuses to move because they want to be 100% sure of success will never get started. But someone who takes a step, even with uncertainty, will begin discovering opportunities, learning from mistakes, and adjusting their course as they go. Taking action also builds confidence. Fear and doubt grow in a state of inaction. The longer a person waits, the more reasons they find not to move. They begin to overthink, exaggerating the difficulties and imagining the worst outcomes. But when they take action, they break the cycle of fear. Even a small step forward disrupts the pattern of hesitation. With each step, confidence increases. Confidence is not something a person is born with. It is built through experience. And experience only comes when a person takes action.